Good morning. So let me tell you guys about last night. So last night I went with my friend Mahan Suk to, there was a couple of different events that we did, but we went to a group of people's house. This house was, haunted, a very old house. And he was doing readings for them, and I was doing healings and clearings for them. So we get to this house, very old house, but beautiful and massive. And so go upstairs to where, they hear, if they're home alone, they'll hear walking upstairs, they'll hear, all kinds of things going on, and really negative energy. So I go up, and it's, in this one closet and in another closet that are kind of connected together. And, I've been to, I've experienced many times ghostly encounters. And only one time have I had the feeling of fear that was there, like that energy was an energy of fear. And it was pretty overwhelming when I experienced it the last time. And I would say that this was scary, but only because the energy was so incredibly heavy. But like, it was to the point that the people who were living upstairs in this house moved downstairs in this house. Certain people don't even want to go up there. Like, it was pretty bad energy, and it was very noticeable. Obviously, I'm pretty extremely perceptive to energy and can feel it, but even people who were not could feel it. So my friend Mahan Suk's downstairs, doing readings for these people, helping them. And so he says, okay, well, you go upstairs and you clear out whatever's up there. I'm like, on it. So I go up there, just sit down, meditate on the floor, and connect in with this energy, which I then realized was actually just an energy of grief. It was pretty overwhelming, actually. Sadness that was there. And this young girl had not left because she was in massive grief, and I'm not sure exactly how she passed, but she was waiting for someone to return. She lost someone who was never came back, and so she was still sitting there waiting. So I don't know if she had offed herself or if she had just died while she was waiting, but it was upon this realization of why she was there that all of a sudden I was just overcome with this compassion for her, this poor girl. Like, it was just, it was horrible grief. And so I sent her to the light, and it probably took as long as it took me to tell you this story. And the energy completely shifted. It was completely different. The owner of the house, her son was up in the room with me when we were doing this, and he felt the shift, and then we went and checked the other room. I already knew it was going to be good because this was just one entity here that was the heaviness that was there connecting those two rooms to the closet. And went and checked, and then it was gone. Then everybody, took their turn throughout the evening to go upstairs and be like, oh yeah, I'd stay at your house now. Whereas, other people, one of the women that was there had said she couldn't even be in that house for more than 10 minutes prior. So I tell you this to tell you this. The reason why it's so easy to clear, and this was not always the case for me, is because it's done out of an element of love. Essentially, I was doing therapy, the same thing that I would do with any client that had a body coming to me. I was doing that with this soul, and connecting in with this soul, and she had just stayed. I don't even know if she knew that she was here. I didn't waste a lot of time asking a lot of questions. I just showed her the light, and she went. And really, this is what I'm doing with clients, right? If somebody comes to me and they got a physical ailment, if they got a this, if they got a that, I'm going to show them the truth. And if they choose it, then they're going to set themselves free. And if they don't, well, then they're not. It's everybody's choice. But basically, when you are a light worker, such as myself, such as my friend Mahan Suk, which we are going to be doing retreats here, and very healing. I've never worked with someone who I would say that I could trust equal to myself, that If I'm like, okay, well, this person needs some kind of healing or something I could trust and know, he would actually be able to help me to do whatever was needed, and we just make a good team. Then we can cover, way more people, because you don't need both of us, But it's really nice working with a light worker like that. There's so many spiritually wonderfully gifted people here, and we both work out of the place of Christ consciousness, which is why we work so complementary together, because Christ consciousness is just love-based. And I know lots of healers are love-based, which of course is wonderful, all the light workers, as opposed to the ones who use magic or dark to get the results that they want. We use love and light. But so here's the deal: when you're working out of a place of Christ consciousness, we understand things a little bit different. We know that the only reason that those heavy, dense energies are there, and that is the perfect example, that they are low frequency vibrations that are going out, right? That feeling that I felt in that room, that grief, it was the heaviest, and everyone described it the same. After I had gone up there, I heard the word heavy, 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 I don't know how many times, of people describing how that felt, and that's exactly what it was. And so when I tuned into this, I know I've experienced this with people before, I'm sure you have too, that heaviness if they're going through grief. And so sometimes we can get stuck in these things, and if somebody passes before they have had time to resolve that, then they really can just be stuck here. So working with Christ consciousness, the thing that we know is that heavy, dense energy was low vibrational, right? Grief, as love-based as it is, because it is. The only reason why anyone would grieve is because they love somebody, right? And so then, it's a loss of the love. So it's still a love-based thing, but it's such a heavy, dense energy. And so, if somebody passed and they hadn't resolved this, I 100% understand why that energy, because we're just energy, would stick around. It's quite sad. So that makes me want to go around and go to all of these haunted places and just release all of these souls. It took 2 seconds. It literally took 2 seconds to just go up there and give them the light, because there's nothing more powerful than the light. And so Christ consciousness, we know that the lower, denser energies cannot ascend up to the light, right? So this heavy, dense energy was felt by all, but it was here. It was earth-based. And a heavy earth-based energy, noticeable by every person. So if we get stuck in this heavy energy, think about what is being manifested. So my example of this is how that permeates your actual environment, right? So let's say that you have a person who's super negative. And my example there, so that affected 2 separate rooms, I would say a space of probably, 90 square feet was the area that covered. And that was just when I was there. And so that amount of energy from a soul that doesn't even have a body, right? They're the same thing as you and me. That soul that was in there, exact same, but just didn't have their body anymore. Because we're the energy that underlies our body, but we happen to have one. Lucky us. It'll be way easier to get ready in the day if you didn't have one. You know what I'm saying? So this type of heavy, dense energy was there, and it was permeating the environment so much so that it was noticeable and you could feel it, and that it pushed people away. People didn't want to go there. The exact same thing happens here on Earth when you got your body. If you are emitting those low frequencies, those low vibes, and I'm not going to compare grief to it because let's talk about something else like angry or this or that. Those things are permeating your environment, and other people can feel it. And other people moved away from it, literally moved away from it. Like, we're out of here and we're going downstairs. So when you are emitting a frequency that is very low, don't for 1 second think that it's not felt by other people. It is. And if this is not, not normal for you, then that's great, right? Because people can handle the low doses of that coming in. But if this was something that was happening all the time, any type of low frequency emotion like anger, jealousy, resentment, sadness, all the things, you could see why people would want to move away from you, because it's actually being felt. The energy is actually being felt and received in the environment. So in this house, they also had a cat, beautiful, beautiful little cat. And I come to find out after the fact that this is the least friendly cat in the world and that he never cuddles up to anyone. Well, when I was sitting there, letting this beautiful young girl soul go back to the light, and I was just sitting there meditating, like cross-legged on the floor, this cat comes up to me, and I was kind of wearing a sweater. Temperature starting to drop here, and he comes and he crawls into my sweater and is pressing up against me. And now I just thought that this was funny, because anytime that I go to somebody's house and they're like, oh, our animals are not very friendly, I'm like, no, dude, just give it 2 seconds. Your animal's gonna be in love with me. And every single one of them is. Every single one. Like this, I don't even know how many times that this has happened. It's expected. I expect it. So, but I want to say that the reason why this is happening is because animals are so perceptive to energy, right? They know when there's a clean aura field, so they can feel it, they know it, and they know what they can trust, and they know what they can't. They know what's light, and they know what's not. So these animals, who are typically not friendly to outside people, the only reason why they are like this is because they are protective, right? That they're here to protect us. They're here to transmute our energy. They're here to, be here for us. And so if they detect that somebody's here to help and not harm anybody, and that somebody's here to bring good and nothing bad, then they're not going to, react to you in the same way. So I had my dog, this is just talking about transmuting energy. One day I was feeling off. This is a couple years ago now. And I mean freaking off. Like something was wrong. Like I felt like, did something come and possess me? I felt like I had something within me that was not me, and that was very awful. And I'm almost, and nothing like this has ever happened before. And I'm kind of like stressed and panicking and thinking like, what in the frick is going on? And I'm sitting on the couch. I go over and I sit on my couch, and I'm kind of like stressed, like I'm almost in a panic mode of what is going on? Like, what if this doesn't go away? Like, I don't know why this was my automatic thought. But sorry, I drank a bit of coffee this morning, and I think that it's really affecting my throat. Every time I drink it, I tell myself I gotta stop drinking it, and then I drink it again. But it's just so delicious. But now I'm drinking tea, so let's see if this helps. Oh, rooibos tea, red bush tea from South Africa. Ooh, delicious. Ooh, that's good. Okay, so my dog jumps up on the couch next to me. I had a beautiful chocolate lab, and he jumps up, and I'm sitting right at the edge of the couch, like one of my arms is on the armrest, and he comes up and he pushes himself into me when I'm in the middle of this kind of panic, but I'm totally by myself, in the house. And he comes up and he just pushes into me, and so I just, go into my meditation mode as per usual. And I don't know how long I was there. I'm gonna guess around 40 minutes. It was a very long time. And then all of a sudden, it was like I took a breath and I felt this energy leave, and instantly I was good. And then my dog hopped down, like 1 second after this energy had transmuted. So you know that if you have a pet, which is why they're so valuable, and they should be so cherished, right? You know, some people, I've met some people and they don't give a crap about their animals, and it makes me so sad for their animal. This one person, she just very awful to her animal, and it's like cowering, clearly afraid of her. And I'm just thinking, you know what, man, this is the only life that they get, right? They're here and they're only here for you. And they're here to protect you. They're here to transmute your energy. They're here to care for you. And you know, if you've had an animal before, even if you have 5 people in the house, that animal is somebody's, right? In the house, like they belong to one person. They connect with one person more than anybody else. That's because they're supposed to. They're here for that particular person. And so anytime that somebody doesn't value the animals that they have, to me, this is something wrong with your spirit. This is something wrong with your soul. Or you just haven't realized the value of the things that are around you. That could be, you know, you don't understand that they're here for only you, to help you. So if you have an animal and you're tuning in, I bet you just love your animal and that you're great to them. And if you're not, be better. Oh, I'm getting a phone call here. So, talking about transmuting energy. So, animals transmute, us people can transmute, but you cannot transmute a low frequency energy. So, like if you were to go into that house that had that entity in it, you would not be able to transmute the energy if you had fear in you or an equal matching low vibration to that entity. You can't. You just absolutely can't, because then your energy is feeding that same energy that's there. So you're going to grow it, you're going to expand it, you're not going to be able to get rid of it. The way that you transmute it is through the light. Holy, do we got a helicopter going on over here? Honestly, we might. Well, I couldn't see it, but that has to be a helicopter. So when you, if you need to transmute something, let's say that you have some type of low energy in your house, or you know somebody that does, you can transmute this. You can change it, meaning transmuting is like changing something from a negative to a positive or whatever. You can transmute it. See, this is what I do with any energy that comes my way that's not high vibe. I'm just going to transmute it. I'm just going to change it. So if somebody was to say something or anything came across that was not high vibe, there's going to be laughter that's going to come out of my body. It's going to be automatic. It's not even going to come with the thought, but that is going to transmute that energy, because I'm not taking it. I'm not picking it up. So if you were working with something like this and you needed to transmute some energy, you cannot have fear based in it. So you couldn't go into this haunted house and be like, oh, I'm afraid this thing is going to hurt me, or I'm afraid it's not going to work, or you can't do any of the fear based nothings, which is why it literally took, a minute once I tuned in, maybe a minute and a half to transmute this and to release this energy, because I know and was so specifically told that I'm divinely protected. Like, I was told, and I've been told so many times how divinely protected I am, that I 1,000,000% believe it. I have belief 100% that I'm divinely protected. So there's absolutely, literally nothing that can harm me. Any kind of energies that could harm me, there's not. And so knowing this, and I know this because I know that love is all that exists. And it's the only thing that exists, and it is only our mind that thinks differently. And so when we can gain control of our mind, and we can change that, and we can shift that, and get rid of those heavy, dense, lower frequency energies from our energy system by forgiving people, by letting go of resentments, by healing anger, by removing jealousy, by removing anything, bully type energy, blame energy, victim energy, all of those are low frequency, they're all low vibe. And when you can clear your energetic system of all of these low frequencies, then you're set and you are literally high vibe, and then there's nothing that can attach to you, because if somebody came up and they gave you a treasure chest filled with gold, and you could just use that for anything that you want, you would be so thankful for it, right? Absolutely. Now if somebody came up to you with a treasure chest full of crap and said, here, do you want this too? You'd be like, well, what would I want that for? That's how I feel, right? I've got the gold. I've got the divine love. So why would I want anything other than that? I wouldn't. So it's easy to allow those heavier, dense energies. And yes, it's something that you need to take control of and gain control of so that you can work with this every day, right? Because life happens. But once you've experienced that divine love to the extent that I have, to the extent that you should seek to, because that's the only reason you're here, that's the highest achievement you can get, is spiritual growth while you're here. To really know why you're here. When you can get to that point, to be in that divine love all the time, there's nothing that can harm you. And when you recognize something is harming you, then you let it go, and then you be thankful for it, because the divine is protecting you. Anything that leaves you feeling not good enough, or not worthy, or not valuable, or not important, anything that leaves you feeling depleted, that drains your energy stores, anything that does this is telling you, hey man, that's not for you. Now, I have had many friends over the years, right? I've been friends with everybody over the years at some point. Not everybody. You know what I'm saying. Lots of people. But the people who really value you, they're different. They're completely different. I have a few friends who really, really value me, and I really, really value them. It's very equal. You're never left guessing or wondering where you stand in their life. And these people, it was not always this way, that I had those reliable people. There was always somebody to talk to. There was always somebody, whatever. But people who truly you can trust, those people are rare. And then when you've got them, you keep them. But if you don't have those people, you don't have them for a few reasons. Either because you don't have the space for them, and that's a choice. You're choosing that. You're making a decision. Or you're going through some kind of spiritual awakening, and so you've realized all the low frequency people you're hanging out with, and you can't do it anymore, so you've cut them out, and you're in hermit mode right now, and you're just by yourself. Also good. None of these things are not good, because no matter where we're at, we're learning. Or you have some underlying beliefs that are keeping people away, like people hurt me, people harm me, well, when you believe this and you repeat this over and over and over again, that you are creating it in the fabric of your reality, and it's going to turn into actual visible matter, and these people are going to float into your life, and they're going to come and they're going to harm and they're going to hurt you, and then they're going to leave, or you're going to let them go, or maybe you're not going to let them go, and you're like, no, keep harming me, keep hurting me, I want you to stay and hurt me some more. Why do we do that? Let them go, let them be. And if people want to leave you, if people let them do what they want to do. If somebody doesn't want to include you, let them. Right? They're showing you who they are, and they're showing you they're not my people. This is what they're showing me. They're not my people. So guess what? If you got the space for it, and you got the energy for it, well then let those people go so you can make room for people who really want to be there. And this can be a process. You could be alone for a while in this. I mean, I like being alone. But I would say spiritually, in my spiritual progress, and it served a huge spiritual purpose, I was alone for a long time in that. All my friends are spiritual. If you are listening to this and you're one of my spiritual friends, you know who you are. There are several of you who are tuning in. When I see there's only like 6 or 7 views on one of my videos, I'm like, those are my babies. And I love them all my spiritual friends. But every single friend that I do have is a spiritual one, every 100% of them. And the ones that were not, there was just something missing. I'm looking for something deep. If it doesn't have any soul, I don't want it. Of course, we all have a soul, but some people are unaware. And I want the people who are aware. My soul group. But I was alone in my spiritual pursuits for several years. And I'm going to tell you why. So my one friend, also my spiritual friend, although she's definitely not listening to this, she told me, she goes, the reason why you've been alone in this for such a long time is because you needed to, first of all, deprogram, right? I had to un-Christian myself. I was raised in the church for the first 30 years. We went to church twice on Sundays. I was 100% a believer. And I still, obviously, believe in Jesus, but I see the truth of what he was really coming to teach. I understand it now. I get it now. And I'm clearly, by the abilities and the things that I can do for people and the way that I can help people through this divine love, I know what I'm doing now. Whereas before, I couldn't do any of those things when I was Christian. Couldn't do any of them because we're not taught how to do that in the church. And we're not taught the proper things in church. And a lot of the things that we're told in there are just the pastor's beliefs. It has nothing to do with nothing. And so she tells me this, we go out for lunch, and she says, the reason why you've been alone in this for such a long time is because you needed to figure out for yourself what you believed without someone else telling you. Lucky for me, I don't like reading books. I've read a few that are pretty good, but ain't nobody got the time for that. Come on, what? How do we have time for this? So, I didn't read books. I didn't watch other people's things. I was just completely on my own for several years, figuring out all this spiritual stuff. And I needed that to happen so that I wouldn't look back on it and be like, oh, well, this person told me this, or this book told me that, and so that's why I believe this. No. Everything that I believe and experience is because I actually experienced it, from meditating, from taking myself to that place, from actually communicating with the divine. I channeled a book in 2018. If you guys haven't heard it, it's called The Way to Peace by Michelle Sinclair. You can look it up on Amazon. It's so cheap. This is a channeled message from God, from the divine. And you can see how I was even in such a different place back then, because that message that was channeled then, I would change it so much now, I think. I haven't read it in so many years. It's still the truth. But I would just add more valuable things in there. But being alone in it allowed me that, right? Most people believe what they believe because somebody else told them to believe it, and they're like, oh, that aligns with these other things that I believe, and so then they take it on, and then it becomes their truth. And because we believe it, it does become truth, even if it's not the actual universal truth. So being alone in it, if you're alone in it right now, if you don't got a ton of friends, you don't got the spiritual people, you probably have one. You have somebody that you could talk to. And if you don't, thank your lucky stars, because then you got the divine's 100% attention. So several years ago, when I was just looking to go deeper and go deeper, and just get more and more and more, I was just addicted to this. I have been my whole life, I guess, to the spiritual stuff. I remember being so little, 4 years old maybe, and remembering past lives. And I remember being little, and I remember getting in trouble and being in my room and being like, oh, we just have to come back and do it again. It doesn't matter if we mess up. It doesn't matter what we do, but being like annoyed with myself that like I screwed up, and it's like, oh, now we have to come back and we have to do this all over again. I remember thinking we needed to live a perfect life when we were little, and just, knowing that this obviously was not the only life that we had. And when I was little, I had the knowing when I was little, and I would always be right. And it would protect me, and it would keep me safe from things. But when we're alone in this, so I started doing the CIA gateway tapes. They're actually the tapes that are done by the Monroe Institute, which is a psychic institute. Don't get freaked out by that word. But they created these tapes, and it's really a way to basically it's their science-based way of manifesting. Which I have to say, I understand the principles of what they're doing. They're doing it wrong, though, right? They're leaving out the element. They're leaving out the truth, and by them leaving out the truth, obviously you're not going to manifest the same. So let me explain. If you haven't heard about the gateway tapes, you can look them up on YouTube. I think that there's maybe 40 or something, or 30 something of them. I've done pretty much. I think I've done them all. But basically, what they are is a way to manifest, and it's taking you into a subconscious state, and then it's taking you here, there, and everywhere. They're using math to take you where you need to be, to whatever dimension. But really, my basis of how it is that they're achieving the manifestations that they are, which I don't know that anyone actually is yet, they will in the future. But what it is that they're doing is these tapes are about an hour. And so during that time, it is gaining your focus, and it is taking it to a certain frequency. So let's say somebody had a really low frequency. Well, this is really going to help them out to lift that vibe, right? And because you know that you manifest second to second, moment to moment, well, for that hour that you're listening to this tape, or 40 minutes, or however long they are, depends on the one, you have then put yourself into the vibration of that thing that you want. So I understand their basis behind it, but it is just a very slow and ineffective way to actually manifest, and they're leaving out love. That there's so many things that are missing from it. But anyways, the whole point is that I'm doing these things, and through this process, I'm healing myself. And I don't know that these would heal somebody else, but because I'm doing therapy on myself, like I would be with a client, it was very beneficial for me. So I would do them, and at the very start of them, you let go of any low vibe emotions that you have. Like, you actually let them go, and then you put yourself in a container, and then your soul goes on this journey, is what you're doing. And so through that process of, let's say that you did these every day, well, every day you are signifying, you're telling your subconscious mind that you're letting go of these heavier, dense energies constantly. So it is kind of guiding you through the process of, okay, let's clear out all the dust, let's clear out all these low vibe emotions, and then let's go and go on this journey. So the basis behind it makes sense. Let's let go of the low and put ourselves into the state of what you want. However, it's not putting you into a state of love. It's not lifting you into a universal higher pure love truth. It's not gaining you access to the divine. It's not doing any of those things. It's literally putting you on the level of your manifestations, which I have realized that our manifestations can be very low vibe, right? Because if I am trying to manifest something that is material, any material item is low vibe compared to the divine love that exists, right? I want this dress. Okay, well, it's a material item. So what vibe do I need to be at to get that dress? A material level. You know what I mean? Whereas when we're manifesting what we should be manifesting, which is a passionate life filled with love, helping people, putting goodness out into the world, that's very, very high vibe. And when you think about that, there was no material things involved, but it was higher vibe, and that's actually going to bring you more material wealth, if that was what you wanted to invest, all that abundance that will come to you when you're in that high divine state. So if you have been alone in your spiritual pursuits, thank your lucky stars. It's good to be alone. You know, any enlightenment I've ever achieved was because I was alone. I didn't have those outside influences. And so back to the story of transmuting that energy in that house yesterday, that was just a soul that was carrying heavy negative energy. And so if you are around people that have that heavy negative energy, and here's the deal, if they live in your environment, if they're in your house, you probably don't even notice. You might, but you also might not, because you're so used to it and you're so used to your frequency when they're around that you don't realize the damage that's being done, that you're being pulled down into the lower frequencies. Or maybe you're the one pulling people down. What's your energy like when you're alone? Are you high vibing or are you low energy? And if you're low energy, well, then you have some healing that you need to do, because there's some trauma in there, there's some hurt, and there's some pain that is unresolved. And this is not to shame you or to blame you or anything. I'm telling you a fact. There is hurt and trauma that needs to be resolved. If there's resentment, if there's anger, if there's jealousy, if there's criticisms, if there's complaints, if there's any low frequency things, low vibe stuff going through your mind, through your thoughts, through your energy system, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. You're going to be miserable. You're going to feel terrible. You're going to have deprivations. You're going to have chaotic and destructive things happening in your life. You know, it could be one thing after another. You know those people that it's like one thing after the other, after the other, after the other happens. And we're all here to learn something. But the faster we learn it, the faster those things stop happening. You ever met somebody and you're like, what? Wow, their life is so the opposite of mine. How is this? It is mind. It is mind. This is how it's so different. This is why when we control our mind, everything changes. But if you're living in those low vibe frequencies day after day, or someone in your environment is very negative, low vibe, they're putting out judgments and criticisms. Maybe they blame people for everything. Maybe they're always the victim. Maybe these bad things always happen, and you're constantly having to listen to this negative chatter or this stuff. What does that do to your energy? And not only that, what does that do to your actual environment? It will be noted in your actual environment when there's negative stuff that's going on. This kind of reminds me how those types of things have not, since I've had the enlightenment and since I know I'm so divinely protected, have not affected me in the same way. So I work in this beautiful, huge, gigantic mansion. It's a medical spa here in town, so a bunch of doctors that own it and run it and do all kinds of things, and it's got this beautiful pool, and it's just wonderful. But every once in a while, and it's only happened once since I've been there, they've had this smell all of a sudden come up, and they're like, we don't know what it's coming from, blah, 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 blah. Well, I happen to have the movie theater in the basement of this beautiful mansion, and it's huge. And so I'm holding a group in there one night, and I think there was 13 people in my group. That's all we could fit comfortably. And so this smell is going on in the mansion. Well, guess what? Lucky day for us. It's the only room in the entire place that doesn't smell at all. Not one bit. So everybody comes down, we're in there, we're in the safe space. Why did this happen? I know it is purely because I am divinely protected. I expect heaven. I expect wonderful things to happen. And so when something's happening around and in my immediate environment, it is not going to affect me the way that it used to, that it would have in years past. This is just more proof for me daily that I'm on the right track. And so if you are experiencing negative things in your life, you need to heal the anger, the resentment, the hurt, the pain. You have to heal all that stuff. And if you don't, you're going to keep manifesting from that level, and you're going to get more things to be resentful for, more things to be angry about, more things that are going to come back and harm and hurt you. If you don't heal that trauma, it stays with you forever, just like that girl who passed before she had time to deal with her trauma, or however it was that she left here. It stays. It stays. It doesn't just disappear. It doesn't just dissipate over time. I'll have people come up and they'll go back to something that happened when they were 2 years old, something that happened when they were in the womb. It's forever. The only way to get past it is to heal it. Otherwise, you're ignoring it. It's going to still be present. It's going to manifest physically in your body. It'll manifest as an addiction. It'll manifest as a physical ailment. It'll manifest as something that is depleting you and not allowing you to be at 100%. So healing the trauma, most important thing that you can possibly do. And if you don't know how to do it, you can work with me. You could work with another subconscious type healer or a light worker. You could visit one of the retreats that me and my friend Mahan Suk are going to be putting on. But you need to heal it. And the only way to heal subconscious trauma is through subconscious work, subconscious healing. And I have that mental cleanse series. I talk about it all the time. You know. You can go check it out. You can work your way through that. That is subconscious healing. That series is subconscious healing. You can pick the topic. Is it anger? Okay, go pick it. Go listen to it. Don't fall asleep. Sit up. Work through it. Listen to it and do what it's telling you to do. And work through your stuff. And get that subconscious crap out of your system, out of your energy, life force energy system, so that you can lift yourself up into a higher vibrational frequency. Very important. Well, that's all I have to say today. Thanks for tuning in. If you're still here, I love you extra. Thanks for listening. I will see you guys in the next one, which I'm sure will be tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys.